Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to what is a rare midday show here, a face-to-face interview episode. Myself, Rob Howden, alongside David Cole. 1 o'clock, of course, the afternoon Eastern time here on January the 29th. Busy schedules for us, David. Kind of locked us into having one during the day. Normally, we try to do these face-to-faces 7 or 8 o'clock at night, but we're headed to Tucson tomorrow. I got stuff going on in the evenings as well, as do you. So we decided, hey, listen, let's lock one down on a Tuesday or Wednesday rather, midday. So it's rare, but it'll still be a lot of fun.
It is not midday on the Pacific time.
That's
if
true.
You're
It's
looking
morning.
at that. So if you're tuning in during your morning coffee, 10 a.m. in Sonoma or Southern California or up in the Pacific Northwest, welcome. And our guest was busy all last week, hanging out in the spotting tower, doing absolutely nothing because spotters don't do anything up there, but they just take photos of each other all the time, So scheduling it. I mean, as we're getting into February and March, it's going to be a busy schedule for karting. A lot's going on. We have all the winter tours or all the winter programs now having at least one race in. You go from SCUSA to Florida Winter Tour to Rotax, all have completed a round. And so now we're going back through those for another 3 straight weeks. Plus we're going out to Tucson, Arizona this weekend for Challenge of the Americas opener. We're going head first in.
No rest for us ever coming out of New Year's, of course, Christmas holidays, right into racing as we know, and there's not nonstop racing in Florida, and of course out west as well, as David had said. So we started off by thrashing on this guy. He's a good friend of ours. We've known him for a long time. Mike Burrell from ROK Cup USA going to join us. And indeed, he was at the Daytona 24 as a spotter. Does a lot of different things in motorsports and is, of course, the face man, the guy that runs the program at ROK Cup USA. Let's bring him in right now. Let's go. It's been a while. Mike, first off, how are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm good. I'm going to have to call Cole about 2 a.m. next year at Rolex and
that's it.
Let him know I'm working.
It's actually my funnest time to watch because it's kind of, there's not all the pomp and circumstances of interviews with all the NASCAR drivers. You actually get to see the on-track stuff,
Right? Yeah.
It's interesting. Mike, we always have this kind of a text thread with buddies of ours, Tim Blaney and Jeff Deskins. We always say we're going to go down to the 24. We're going to go down to the 24. I went down in, I think, 2012 as a guest of Mazda and John Doonan. That was fantastic. My buddy Tony Ventresca and I went down. We keep talking about coming. I know you're there every year. It's just such an amazing event. And the crazy thing is all the racing that was going on throughout the weekend, whether it be Mazda MX-5, it's like watching old home week anyway. They're all go-kart racers, right? The Mazda MX-5 Cup race was like a KA100 junior race.
Yeah, and the start really looked like it there on Saturday. You saw the 30-car pile up starting on the front row.
Nuts.
It is a great week. And, next to the Indy 500, it's probably my favorite car racing event to go to.
Are you back with the 500 again? Do you have a driver to spot for?
Colton Herta.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a gasser.
That would be a fun trip to Victory Lane.
That would be. I mean, for, him and his dad, both great people. So
agreed.
Big racing family.
So we haven't had you on the show here for a while, but great to have you back. ROK Cup USA getting off to a solid start there at the Florida Winter. Let's just talk about that. Let's kind of do a recap of how things went. We know that everybody's kind of set up to run back-to-back weekends here at Orlando, through January, February, and of course into March. What are your thoughts on the opening weekend?
Pretty good. A little different. We started looking at who we had, and we had a lot of new racers, a lot of new names that we didn't recognize from the year before, which is great. Means some different people are coming into the sport that we can expose to our product, our way of doing things. And we think everybody had a good time, got a lot of good feedback from people. The odd thing was we didn't have a big shifter thing, kind of getting to the bottom of that, but we'll make a few changes there, and I'm sure they'll be back strong next year.
Yeah, that was obviously something we found interesting. There's not a ton out at the Challenge of the Americas either. SCUSA had a decent turnout, but not massive. It's really weird when it comes to the shifter drivers, isn't it? They don't. Dave and I have been trying to kind of dive into that. They just don't seem to want to run a lot of races. It's really weird.
I mean, it's obviously the cost of this class out there. But I don't know. I don't know. We all need to probably get together behind the scenes and put our heads together and figure out what we got to do to.
I think you're exactly right.
Make shifter great again.
Yeah, make shift. Yeah, it's so weird. Like we're right where you are. We don't really have any rhyme, no reason to it. There's a lot of drivers out there, but we don't really get it. All told, though, you pretty happy with the way everything went down there to get things underway?
Yeah, I mean, number one, the ambulance didn't roll all weekend. Knock on wood. That's always the number one thing. Anytime that happens, you're putting on a good event.
Agreed.
You know, I reinforce, and we talked to our people. We got a great core with Chuck Yoder, our race director, and Robbie Poupart, the steward, and Ursula, and everybody on that. Our whole team has a great mindset of safety, fun, you know, keeping it real. I kind of joke sometimes I want us to be the Chick-fil-A of go-karting. So, you know, we want to be nice and, you know, go up and tell you, even if you got a penalty, it's going to be all right. The world's not ending. Yeah. This happens to all of us, you know, and just try to be, you know, kind of playing off the old Bill Wright serious fun thing with Florida Winter Tour. You guys remember that. We three have been around long enough to remember that.
Hey, listen, Mike, we talk a lot about, you know, with other promoters about the crew they've got. And you guys have been around long enough that you have this core group of people, really good people with lots of experience in the sport as well. And this, like you mentioned them very briefly, but that's really what it comes down to. To put on a really good event, you have to have the right people behind it.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, they're so automatic. This group I inherited, I can't say enough about that. They, you know, pretty much get to the track and they know, everybody knows their job, everybody knows their place, and they just go do it. You know, so it's getting easier every race not to feel like I got to check on something, because it's just, you trust your people and let them do their jobs, and you know, they enjoy it and come back.
Yeah. Dave?
So unlike Chick-fil-A, you guys do race on Sundays. So, but what you guys do is you do the one final format.
Right.
And again, you know, you're starting to see a little bit more of that in karting, going back to that. You know, what is the feedback over the last couple of years from the competitors, even including some of the new people who were there this year or this week with us this year?
You get mixed. You always get mixed on that. As you do on anything you get from anybody. We personally like it because it makes it better. It makes it more special. You're the winner for this weekend. You are the guy. You know, I like the strategy, you know, coming from a car racing, endurance racing background. I like the strategy where you got to think about where you use the tires exactly and when you use them. And especially when we had the rain down there the first round, that really made people think, okay, I'm going to go out on my second set of new tires here for the pre-final, because tomorrow there's like a 70% chance my final is going to be in the rain. And to see who did that and who didn't, and then the transition from dry to wet and everything the next day was, I think, a valuable learning experience for tuners, drivers, everybody. But then it just, in my opinion, makes it more special to have one winner in each class for the weekend.
Oh, and timeline wise too, doesn't it help get you guys done so you're not at the racetrack till 9 p.m. after getting there at 6 a.m?
Yeah, I mean, we, you know, I try to get us out of there. You know, talk to Darren and Ursula and Robbie on the schedule. It's like, you know, let's get people home so they can get to work and school on Monday. Yeah. You know, if we're out of there by 3 or 4 o'clock on Sundays, and then people can get 6, 7 o'clock flights and get home. You know, that's one less day they have to take off work or out of school that they can race with us or, you know, someone else. Again, you know, our number one goal as any promoter should be just keep people involved in the sport as much as possible.
Yeah, agreed. One of the things, Mike, I want to touch on, because it's interesting, and we'll backtrack to it, is the essentially new partnership that you guys have, not partnership, let's say the line of communication you guys have with Superkarts USA, in terms of the fact that you guys are kind of working together on schedule. For the first time in the 20-something years this has been going on, the Florida Winter Tour, you guys are racing outside of Florida, right? You're going to be, your third rounds for the Florida Winter Tour is going to be in Texas the week before the Superkarts USA Spring Nationals. I think anytime you have cooperation between the major organizations, it's a positive. Can you give us some insight in kind of how that came apart, how the communication started getting positive?
I'm trying to think of the history on how it happened, but you know, I've known Tom since 2006. Luis Rubal took both of us down to the Granja 500 down there in Brazil. So, you know, I've known him a long time, so that helped. Eric Jones and I were talking in 24 or late 23 about us going back to Homestead, and the whole combination, everybody got talking and it worked. So it was really, really good for us last year. The Texas thing has been kind of a split. I've had some people say, Texas isn't in Florida. Or, yeah, I know. It's kind of a detour this year for sure.
They're very two opposite states as well, too.
Kind of. We'll give it a try this year and see. Alan Rudolph, and it's a beautiful racetrack. We're going down Sunday, and we're going to meet Neil and Tony from SCUSA down there. Robbie and I are, and we're going to plan the logistics to make it easy for everybody. The pits and everything, and just so it's a smooth 2 weeks for everybody that goes down there for both races. I personally don't know if we'll be able to go outside of Florida in the future. It's a lot of feedback, and it's the Florida Winter Tour.
You're trying it, and I get it. And listen, in a tough economy, it's good for the team owners. Every team owner I talk to is like, we're going to be in Orlando for a lot of weekends. We can probably rent a house here for a couple of months. But the bottom line is they're not picking up and moving like crazy. It's going to be better on the teams. Like, they're not tearing down all their tents. Same thing when they go to, they probably were going to be there in Florida the week before anyways, potentially, many of them. So you're just there kind of working together, and it's big for the teams. There's no doubt about that.
It is, and I hope they're passing on some of that savings to their customers.
Sure enough. Yep.
Because the bottom line, like I said, is to keep the cost under control for everybody. The customers, the teams, the promoters. Working with SCUSA, we save some money on equipment we both have to rent. We get together, we do a little longer contract, but we share the cost on stuff then. So it saves us money. It's saving the team's money. Hopefully we can pass that along to the customer too. Ultimately, the carter. So from that aspect, it all works. It's not easy. That's for sure. There's a lot of logistics that have to be planned and thought about, but it definitely worked really good last year, and seems to be so far this year.
If the only thing that comes out of this is the fact that there's more communication between a couple of the powerhouse organizations in the sport, that's a positive thing. The bottom line.
Yeah, and I'm wide open to talk to anybody. I talk to, you guys know Joe Janowski and our good friends, so we talk a lot, and I talk to Mark Coates and everything. So, I think I try to think globally, and I come from your guys' side of the sport originally. Mm-hmm. Well, just being a carter and then being in the media side. So, big picture, and we'll see.
So if anybody's tuning in right now and has some questions for Mike, feel free to throw them in the comments, and we'll bring those up here for you if anybody has anything they want to ask him.
Everybody's at work right now. They better be concentrating on their jobs or school.
There's a lot of people with their own businesses in our sport. They could be hanging out and chilling right now. It's just past lunchtime. You never know. Hey, listen, let's talk more outside of the Florida Winter Tour. Eventually, we'll wrap things up, talking about ROK Vegas, but let's talk about ROK Sonoma right now. How's that program working? It's an in-house program right now. It's you and Ursula that'll be running that deal out at Sonoma this year.
It is. We get six trips to beautiful Sonoma, California this year, nice. Which never complain about. We reformatted a little bit. Last year, we took it over from Steve Cameron, who did a great job with it for years. And but his interests have kind of changed. His son Christian's getting into car racing. Yep. So he didn't really have the time to do both a kart series and car racing. And he also has an IMSA team. So, we took that over last year. We kind of made it, more our format and everything throughout the year. And so this year we listened to everybody. They said 8 races was a little tough on their budgets, a little tough on their timeline. And so we split it. We split it into 2 3-race championships. It was basically spring and a summer, April, May, and June. Take the month of July off. Everybody told us that's when their kids are out of school. They want to do family vacations. Like, great, go for it. Yeah, and then come back August, September, the first week of October. So everybody still has time to prep for Vegas afterwards. So 2 3-race championships, tickets and prizes for both. ROK Super Final, ROK Vegas tickets. just other products, giveaway in the first half. If somebody wins the same ticket in the second half, like we had a couple people, Eric Doan last year, and I think Aiden Go, they won, and Michael Avicino, they all won a Rock Vegas ticket, and then they got a second Rock Vegas ticket, so we covered their rooms at the Rio for the week.
Oh,
so those guys got to race when they're double ticketed. They got to race really cheap.
Really cheap, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, let's dive right into Rock Vegas. Solid event this past year. What are your thoughts on 2025? Anything new happening back at the Rio?
Well, we're back at the Rio we got contracts for 25 and 26 already done.
Nice.
They've put in a ton of money and still are on remodeling and upgrading their food court, restaurants, and everything. The food court had some pretty reasonable prices, especially for Vegas. You could have dinner for $20 if you really wanted to. And the new rooms are beautiful. I stayed in one even afterwards when we came back to Vegas for Supernats for a couple of days. So, the hotel's done a great job fixing up everything. And as far as the racing, we haven't got too much into the planning yet. I'm sure it'll be very similar to last year, where we're definitely on track Wednesday through Sunday. We know that much. We'll go out there sometime between, I don't know, probably now and July, and we'll walk around the parking lot, look at tracks. We got out there and had some surprises this year. They did some core samples in the parking lot, and so it's like, oh crap, we got to drive around this now, and
okay, yeah.
So change this on the plan a little bit, shift this over, but they're putting a lot. The Hyatt group owns it now.
Okay.
So they're putting a lot of money into the facility, and we try to nudge them every year. Hey, repave this parking lot. And even offered. I mean, and they're actually rather open to it. They would love to have Supernats back there too, and it'd be probably good for both of us to be at the same place. I mean, for the same reasons are in Florida.
Yeah,
but. If they could get another one or two big automotive events in that parking lot, they would consider repaving it. So,
do they still do the quarter midgets there?
No, I have to ask Danielle where the quarter midgets are.
I think they're down in Old Vegas now. I think they're in a parking lot down there. That's right.
If I remember right, but I mean, they could come back.
I mean, there's like you said, there's drifting events they could possibly do. I would think that parking lot would be an amazing drifting area because, again, the elevated part, you could watch and look down at all the cars doing their drifting shows and everything like that. I'm surprised
safely.
Yeah, safely, exactly. I'm surprised like kind of like an off-site scenario for SEMA or something like that, because drifting is a major thing for that show. And so I'm surprised nobody hasn't tapped in, like, hey, that's another way of maybe trying to get them to look at repaving the parking lot.
That might be something you need to address with them. But
and again, it's only that one section too where the track's built.
Right.
It's not like
I mean,
who cares about the rest of the parking lot?
Exactly. Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't care. I mean, they can put in a permanent track out there. We can send Robbie out and whatever, and he could design up a permanent track, and we could have one nice track out there, and a couple variations of it every other year. But
fantastic idea. There we go. Yeah. Now we're into it. Now we're making things happen here. Mike, obviously, the Rock Vegas is kind of a plug and play thing. You guys know what to do when you get out there. You drop the hammer. The track obviously changes every year, a little bit here and there, and it changes some logistics around. But you guys have that locked. The Rock program elsewhere in the U.S. Are you working on any other areas? Are there some things you want to bring to the forefront?
We're always open to it. We're always working. There's a lot of places that the VLR 100cc is allowed to run. Straight, either straight up or with a little weight difference in the KA. And I don't think a lot of people know that. That's something we got to do better, getting that message out. And, I just literally got off the phone with Alberto. He was driving home from the factory over in Italy, and we're talking about ideas like that, places that allow both. Hey, we'll give you incentives if you're running our motor.
Yeah.
So, and then our strong base is definitely Northern California. We have a new series that came on last year. Kind of got going last minute, but it still had some decent numbers up in the Pacific Northwest, up at Vancouver and the Greg Moore track up there.
Yep.
Which was really cool to go to as an old IndyCar guy. Who was around back in his day. And then, of course, we got Mossport out in Canada.
Yeah,
the other side of Canada.
Fantastic race. Two great racetracks. Greg Moore racetrack in Chilliwack's a fantastic track, and Mossport, just outside Turn 9 of the big track at Mossport, is absolutely a fantastic racetrack. Man.
Yeah, it is, and Richard and those guys have had a strong program up there for years, and we're more than grateful to them. And Marco DeLeo over at Goodwood has a good rock following up there. So we just need to connect the dots a little. We're kind of in the corners of the continent. We just need something in the middle. Some Texas, Missouri, something.
Well, like you said, this coming weekend we're heading to the Challenge of the Americas, where there'll be a lot of VLRs on track at Tucson. Right, it's a lot of guys. We talked about it in the Outlap preview podcast. One of the categories primarily is going to be a lot of VLRs, right?
The junior category rules over that, and the Masters is kind of a mix. So some guys prefer this, some guys prefer that. It just depends on the driver, the chassis, and the track conditions as well too. And you see guys dabbling in both in the senior divisions as well too. So that's the fun part I think about the challenge right now is we get, as a media side, we get to look at that like, okay, who's running what? We get to tell everybody the stories of that. So then everybody who's not there is kind of like, oh, what's the deal? What do I do?
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't in Master Shifter, didn't Bud Grossenbacher run a rock shifter one day and a KZ the next day?
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. It wasn't too far off pace either.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. Here's one for you. Mike, Jimmy Gilkis wants us, need to bring the rock back to AMP in Georgia. What do you thought about that?
Oh, I'd like to go there.
I haven't been to that track. I hear it's really cool.
It is a cool track. Definitely, Jimmy, something to talk about.
Did they run like a pure tag 100cc category there?
I really don't know. That was before my time here, so Jimmy might actually be able to give us more insight on that. But there
you go.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest tracks. I mean, the track layout and everything, and the elevation. It's a cool place.
We got to get down there pretty soon, for sure.
Yeah.
David, anything else for Mike here in a midday face-to-face show?
Yeah. I want to bring up Indy, but I won't. I'll be nice. I'll leave him alone.
I talk to Doug. I talk to Doug every chance I get, and it's like, and I've even told him, probably a little out of place, that I got this huge go-kart factory now and all their money to bring this back. But, yeah, I mean, that was such an incredible experience, the battle at the Brickyard, and running there for 4 years. And, we could pull the trigger on it in a day.
Yeah.
And I've told him any week will do. We could probably get 600 people to race there at Christmas if we had to.
Probably right. My God.
But
we need Levanto snow tires.
Hey, rain tires are close enough.
There you go. Yeah,
100% close enough. We'll do it. Let's go.
Yeah, I every time I see Doug, I bug him on it. I know Keith Freeber does too on the Margay side. So,
well, and listen, Doug's a go-kart guy too. Let's be real.
He is. Doug's all about it.
Yeah.
We named his son Carter. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah.
Could use the K, not the C though.
No, exactly. But no, he's all for it. So we're just gonna get the logistics all worked out one of these days to do it again. Yeah. Even if we just did the big parking lot and just touched on the road course a little bit.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
Hey, listen, if I got to go to a track and I get to go under the tunnel and I can see the pagoda, I don't care where it is. We can do it in the parking lot. I'm fine with that too. 100%. I'm fine with that. It's still Indy, right?
Exactly. You're still in there. It still has that aura and that, everything.
That's it.
So. We could do it. We got 10 trailers of barriers at ROK, so I could.
It could happen.
I told him, I said, we can totally keep off the grass. I got 10 trailers where the barriers. Terry Riggins up the road has 3.
Terry Riggins is right there.
Because before you pretty much worked with Terry on barriers, and that's all you guys had, right?
That's all we had. Yeah. the 2.5 or 2, and I guess he has about 3 now, truckloads of.
Well, and could you imagine, now that you have a good working relationship with Supercards USA, bringing them on board, bringing ROK together? So almost like we could almost make it like a festival where, like, hey, they have like 2 days, you guys have 2 days, bring in Briggs, bring in them for 2 days, and almost kind of be like a week-long festival of karting.
Like the SCCA runoffs?
Yeah. Well, we just got one guy convinced on that.
That's right.
We just keep coming up with different ideas and different ways of doing this, right?
Roger.
Right?
Do it,
Yeah,
Roger. Do it, Roger. Do it.
I wasn't going to say the name.
Well, it's please, come on. We want to come back.
But no, it'd be great. It'd be great to have an event there again. That's for sure.
No doubt. Mike, anything else to wrap things up here when we're talking ROK Cup USA?
No, just anybody has any questions, or ROK Cup, Vortex, Levanto, and whatever, give us a call, email, whatever. We're more than happy to help. No question too small. We're all about, like I said, being super friendly, helpful, and we hope to see everybody at a race here soon.
And listen, just so you know, I just wrote it down here quickly. We will definitely do a little article on where the VLR can run. I want to do a little article on where we have essentially the multi-engine platform kind of tag 100cc programs around the country. That's a great idea, because guys with the VLRs maybe don't realize where they can run it, because there's lots of places they can run that VLR motor.
Probably not. It's almost like I think I described it one time as the Kleenex effect. Everybody almost is calling 100cc in general KA.
Yeah.
And it's just same thing. Everybody calls every facial tissue a Kleenex.
That's true. Yeah, 100%. You're not wrong. Yep.
So we just got to overcome that, and Puffs is a pretty big brand too in the facial tissue world, and that's us.
Look for that coming down the line, folks, on EKN's homepage. We'll get that out there in the next couple of weeks to fill everybody in on where that VLR is able to run. Mike, thanks for taking the time, man. We appreciate it. We know you're heading back to Florida. Got a bunch of trips planned out to beautiful Sonoma throughout the summer as well, and of course that one last trip to cap off the year to Vegas. All the best to you guys in your program here this year.
Thank you, guys, and we'll see you.
Well, David, there you go. Mike Burrell, again, one of the good guys in the sport, longtime racer, the crew back in Indiana. Of course, worked for National Kart News as well, has worked for USAC. He's worked for a number of different organizations, big in the sports car and IndyCar world in terms of being a spotter as well. And of course, as we know, with ROK Cup USA. So Mike does a lot in the sport, and you can just feel he does have the right understanding, right? He's got the right attitude. It's all about just taking care of the customers here.
A very grassroots oriented personality. That's the way I see Mike. He's, like he said, he's kind of done it all. And, he became a karter, got into the media side and then business side, and now as a promoter. So he's kind of been a Swiss Army knife of karting.
and he's done so many different things. You have a unique perspective, right? You talk about the fact that being in the media, you kind of have a different perspective as we do when we're thinking more universally as opposed to focus on certain things. And that he's always obviously able to bring that to the table as well.
Yeah, that certainly helps, because again, you're not closed off into what you actually see. You're welcome to different ideas, and that's always a positive, no matter what you're doing in life, but especially in karting, with how protective and territorial people get.
Sure enough. I love the communication between ROK Cup USA and Supercards USA. And I love to hear that, because again, a lot of issues when they start butting heads, you see conflicts, we see people not able to go where they want to race. So that's I think one of the big news items to start 2025 for sure. That will cap off this edition of Face to Face, folks, a midday show. You can always go back and of course watch it on YouTube if you haven't already. We'll turn it into a podcast as well coming down the pipe here. David will get that handled up on the podcast network and onto the EKN radio network as well. Otherwise, we are done for this edition, folks. Thanks for tuning in. On behalf of David Cole, and of course, Mike Burrell as well, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.